What up? So, as you guys probably imagine, I have a couple of tips for you today. Like, for example, now you might have noticed an avian update today, and if you hadn't already, you can basically now start to organize your companions a little better when you're breeding them. Because basically now what you can do, let's say, like, for example, you're looking for avians that have specific traits and you're wanting the best possible fixes. I mean, it's a lot easier now than it was before to very quickly at a glance look at which might have what skills. So it's not as bad as it was. And so for the most part, like anytime you run into, say, all around control or any of these really special fixes, you don't have to go, basically hunting for that avian. So there's that, as far as the major changes that I've seen here lately. You might have also noticed this reversal potion. And so again, as I may have mentioned before, you can now fully reset a, so like for example, let's say I've got an avian that I've got up to level 44, for example. If I hit reset here, okay, I only get 80% of it back, but if you use a reversal potion, you'll get 100% of everything back. Obviously, for those of you out there that are wanting something that you're going to get a little, obviously not lose anything, instead of just spending the diamonds, you can get a reversal potion. Now, you may be thinking, well, okay, how am I supposed to get these reversal potions? I don't really know entirely myself, honestly, because if you look around, and let's say you go to the shop, for example, you'll notice that, oh, conveniently it's not in there, right? And then, okay, sure, maybe if it's not there, maybe it'll be in here somewhere, which obviously, you start poking around looking for it and you start to realize, oh, it's nowhere to be found. And that's because it's part of the new update, and we won't really know a whole lot, but you can find reversal potions right now for $5 in the bottom right of the limited time shop. So if you're wanting to know where those are, now you know where to look if you've been wondering where to get reversal potions. I'm sure there's probably going to be other ways to get them, but that's just where I happen to know where they're at. That said, the second tip for today is, of course, Shroomie tournaments obviously in full swing now, so ranked matches are finally up. We're doing pretty good. We're at 107 mil in our power. In our ranking, we're not really ranked yet, so we're just kind of hopping along. We won't really know, because a lot of these guys here you can rank by power, and you can kind of tell there's a lot of guys that they're way underpowered. Plus the tasks, it's really heavy on the diamonds, so you get like 400 for every one that you challenge, and as you get higher and higher in score, you're going to get more and more diamonds. I'm pretty confident that we'll probably work our way up quite a ways in the rankings. The big thing, though, is always make sure to synchronize what we get in the gear and improve what we have internal gear, because I think the closer we get to that, the better. Now, the other thing, too, is, all right, so like, for example, I had this discussion with some people earlier, and it was kind of over, like, how do you go about the farm? I honestly think you need to use common fertilizer as much as you can, and then you need to go up here and basically, buy seeds, buy fertilizer, like 5 of, and just rinse repeat. Because what you can do is you can basically rank yourself up a lot faster, and if you store your fruits rather than just burn them right away, you can then go and basically rank in the farm rushes, which I think, when you get to like about 1 mil, you start to get pretty close to where you have a pretty good chance. But 2 mil is where I feel like it's pretty safe to say you're going to rank pretty well up there. Obviously, the more that you have, the better. So obviously, I think going all in on that is a no-brainer. So I think anybody or everybody that's watching this video, that's my first tip. My second tip, as far as, like actual build wise with the Plume Monarch, the one thing that stood out to me from last Shroomie tournament that I think a lot of people blow away is like, okay, so like for example, if you look at like different builds, and I think this is really something critical for anyone right now, is you want to pay attention to what other people are doing. and see what is working for them and what's not working for them. Because right now is a really great opportunity for you in the Shroomie tournament to kind of see how you stack against a lot of other teams. And so you can kind of get a feel for like what, not only power wise, right, but in the long term, you're going to have a record, and you can go back to this record at any time you want and actually see where you're ranking among all of the other players. And so in that way, you can kind of build up a rep for kind of getting an idea of what you need to go up against. But like, for example, like if I look at this, that's a Dark Lord player, Sacred Hunter. You'll notice a lot of pairs that are somewhat antithesis to each other, and some that are better than others. And I would say that like one of the things that I feel like works really well is I've seen some people do like pairs of Plume Monarchs, but the ones that really won in the end were ones that were like a little bit heavier, like towards not only just their class, right? They didn't do full Plume Monarchs. They did Plume Monarchs and maybe what counters a Plume Monarch. Or they took advantage of the one-shot build that you get with the Prophet. Or they'll even go one step above that. And like I've seen some people do some really wild stuff. I mean, there's a lot of different things that people were doing. So you really can't go wrong with a lot of the different stuff that you can do. Like this guy kicked me out, so I guess I'm going to have to... Oh, I don't know. Let's see if we can find anybody to steal from. Maybe this guy. Anyway, the main thing though is my third tip, really, if anything, right, is if you go into the parking wars, just make sure you're going into the parking slot, go to server slot, and then check for any of your timers and see which one's the least timer, and just make sure you're going over here and guarding. The other thing that you want to do is occasionally go to the cross server spots, and you want to look and see what your plunder status is, because if you can plunder, you should totally go out and try to plunder. Normally you want to look for the spots that have the fewest number of guards, but normally they're going to be protected by some of the higher ranking players, but not always. I mean, once in a while you'll get lucky. My fourth tip is within the game, there is one thing that I've mentioned, which is the back accessory talents. And you can kind of cater this however you want, but what I recommend you do is work on defense boost, attack boost, and your HP boost, and do it for all three trees. And so you just get the flat base amount, and don't worry about like the other trees. Don't sweat this as much. This is just something I'm doing as an additive, because really once I get enough where I can just quick upgrade, I'll actually start grabbing the other skills so we can kind of play with those talents. But again, big thing with that is you always want to pay attention to that. The other thing is enchants. So in enchants, you want to pay attention to the type of enchants that are out there. You always want to be looking for like the top skill at the top. So like right now, this is PAL damage. If I ever get a Furious Gale that has combo damage, I'm going to probably swap for it, because there's a good chance that I will get that and be a lot happier because I'm increasing my combo damage rather than PAL. Now, like Heart of Resilience increases counter damage in a set, which that's the other element to it. So not only do you need the right skill, but then you also need the right, and again, the emphasis on why you get a pink soul as opposed to, or a pink enchant versus like an orange enchant, is actually the amount of damage of the level of the actual enchant itself. If it's a lower level enchant, you're just kind of screwing yourself, in my opinion. Like, you don't want to bother doing it that way. Like right now, if I wanted to do counter damage, I'd be set for life. Like, I'd be pretty good. But like right now, since that's not really an emphasis or a focus, I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and let's go ahead and level our HP souls. So I'll just grab everything red and blue, enhance, confirm. And that's going to go ahead and give us some extra HP. Looks like it's going to improve launch, and then we'll leave our pink enchants behind. Main thing here is, you want to go ahead and upgrade your enchants, and then from there, basically you just keep acquiring better and better gear, and preferably get stats that you're going to use in your build. Like right now, I'm going heavy combo, heavy crit rate. Now, the fact I've got any counter damage and stun is kind of more of an accident than it is in anything else, but that's just because I've been trading basically for one stat or the other, and I'm not really getting super critical about it both being crit and combo at the same time in the pieces of gear. Because you really, honestly, you have to dump a stupid amount of lamps to be able to get specific pieces. So the way I do my lamps, by the way, as far as auto is concerned, is I just do combo crit rate and do any, and then I just match both filters, and that's the way to roll, if you ask me. In any case, I hope that was somewhat helpful for you guys, and I'll see you guys for the next video. But make sure you check this out if you want to save some money along the way.